It's story time. I recently went to North Carolina to investigate the Brown Mountain Lights. And this is definitely one of those situations where the journey was the adventure. So let me tell you how it went down. Me and my dog Lucy Pig were driving for about 4 hours and we started getting close and it was dark at that time. I drove through a town that was actually shooting fireworks off probably 100 yards off the main road that we're driving on. Now my dog is terrified of loud noises, especially fireworks. So she went from being in the back of the van to in my lap, shaking like a leaf in about 2 seconds. She was completely frazzled. As we got 4 miles away from the Wiseman Overlook, the road went from asphalt to dirt. Washed out, rutted up dirt. Huge potholes and trenches in the road that a minivan was not designed to handle. So I pulled over and tried to talk myself out of going any further down the road. Then 2 cars passed by me and I figured if they could do it, I could do it too. And I eventually got to the Overlook parking lot. So we just pulled up. Lucy's here with me. And man, the road to get here is a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. That was definitely more of an interesting ride than I was expecting. The minivan held up strong though, so we're lucky. But we're here, we're going to go walk down the trail and see what we find. There were a few cars in the parking lot, so I assumed that it was safe to continue my journey and go to the Overlook. The trail was paved, but the forest around it had completely created a canopy around us, so it was like walking through a wild tunnel. Once again, it was pitch black. My dog didn't mind, but I thought I was going to get snatched up by Bigfoot. When I finally got out to the Overlook, I was relieved to see families that were there, including one infant, which definitely put me at ease. So I set up shop and started looking for the Brown Mountain Lights. Over the course of the next few hours, groups would come, groups would go, and by the end of the time I was there was only 2 other individuals out there with me. They eventually packed up and left, which left me and Lucy Pig all by ourselves, which was fine because it was an enjoyable time to be out there. But after about 20 minutes, my dog started looking back up the path from where we had come. She was completely fixated on what was up in the woods. I couldn't see anything, I couldn't detect anything, and I also wasn't quite sure if I did want to be able to see anything. And it was at that point that I did get a little bit jarred, and so I ended up packing my stuff up and leaving. And yeah, the entire time between leaving the Overlook and getting into my car and locking the doors felt like a nightmare. The kind of nightmare where it feels like you're running in slow motion to get to safety. But obviously I did make it out safely. And I had some interesting footage that I recorded on my night vision monocular. And I also found out that my infrared camera was terrible at long distances. But I was able to record a few interesting things, which I'm assuming these are images of cars on the edge of the mountains or hikers possibly that were looking at the Overlook. There were some other interesting lights in the woods that I assumed were cabins of some sort. One of the most interesting things I recorded was a light that was illuminating the mountainside, but then there was this weird blinking light directly beneath it. I don't know what it was doing and why there would be a blinking light like that, but it was probably there for approximately 15 minutes. But yeah, I didn't see anything with my naked eye, but I would definitely go back and try it again because it's an interesting area and just a good time. And I'd recommend you give it a shot as well, but make sure you have a vehicle that can take the potholes and the ruts in the road.